Around 1990 something, we got into the browser based, and oh my God, I was at 14.4 and I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. Then around 2000, Napster came in, and on our network, we noticed all of a sudden dial-up was no good anymore. Everybody wanted broadband. They wanted to download these huge files, and all of a sudden dial-up became, that's about the time where you started seeing Earthlink, instead of climbing and adding users on every month, they started seeing them decline, as most other dial-up ISPs did. The next one that's going to come in here, and it's going to hit like a ton of bricks, is Joost, J-O-O-S-T. And if you haven't seen it, send me an email. I'll send you an invite. This is the coolest thing you can ever imagine. It's full screen, relatively high definition IPTV with more content than any of us could probably live to watch right now, and it's getting bigger and better. The downside? Well, it sucks up about 400 megabytes of transfer per hour, whether or not you're using it. And believe me, the end user's not going to worry about closing it down because they don't pay by the bit. Every 15-year-old kid knows about this. They all want it. This has already made it to Time magazine. And the quote that I really enjoyed out of this is, it's simple enough for your father to use it. It comes up with a menu choice. You can change streams. You can watch whatever you want. It's just unbelievable. And this is going to hit, what are we talking? Well, it's out of beta. I can send you an invite. If it takes 6 months before every kid's talking about it, I'll be surprised. And oh, by the way, if you're rolling out a low bandwidth network, you're going to watch it fold. Can you stop it? No, probably not. It's designed to run around any type of protections or jamming that you might try to put in place. And the reality is there are a lot of networks being built that have 3 megabit backhaul and 300K to the end user, and these things are really going to start to hurt. This is going to be a real strain on some of these low bandwidth networks. That was tougher to say than it should have been. This is a screenshot of Joost. When I said it's simple enough that your father can figure out how to do it, there you go. You up and down, you choose what you want, you get another menu of what's available, you click and it starts to play. This is brought to you by the people from Skype that originally did Kazaa. Trouble with grammar this morning. The reality is, this is going to be the new face of TV. TV is going to be delivered to you, or more correctly, I should say, video is going to be delivered to you this way. And I think we're going to actually start seeing dynamics change where advertisers, instead of feeding you something that you can't stand watching, are now going to be producing videos that are fun to watch, or they're not going to be able to capture your attention because you'll just go to the menu and go somewhere else. Okay, minimum bandwidth for Joost, 220 megabytes per hour sustained. One of the things that needs to be talked about here, and I'm going to get technical for a minute, is most of the networks that we're rolling out are what's known as half duplex. Half duplex means that the radio either transmits or receives, and then it switches back and forth as necessary. For those of us that are old like me, you might remember walkie-talkies where you'd say hello, over, and somebody would say hello, over. That's a half duplex communication. Well, you know, we found out, oh, I don't know, 100 years ago that that didn't work out too well in telecommunications because we like to talk both ways at the same time. But now we're once again relearning that lesson as we roll out half duplex networks. Well, you know, for the internet, where you click and a page loads and it goes away, that's fine. But when you start talking about VoIP, which is a continuous stream up and a continuous stream down at the same time, it doesn't work out that well. Now when you start talking about two-way video conference where it's a very big stream going up and a very big stream coming down continuously, these half duplex radios can't flip back and forth that many times that quickly in order to do that. As we go from a model where ISPs used to depend on oversubscription, which is a term that talks about how I can fit 10 users onto the amount of bandwidth that only one user uses because we click and release, and we go to a continuous draw from people, we're going to see a lot of the business models that this stuff has been based on start to suffer really badly. What are we talking about for a time frame? I'd be amazed if it was 3 years. And what we're talking about in that 3 years, we're going to see companies either change, put in much bigger and better networks, or just go belly up and end run. Now, those of you here that are listening to this have a pretty good idea of, you know, what you're going to need to do to stave that off. And those of you who are here that don't believe it will find out 2 or 3 years down the road what I'm talking about. Okay, I think I've covered everything else about Joost, so I'm going to say thank you for coming.